Hey there. Tonight we're leaving behind the noise of now. No blinking screens, no traffic, no glowing billboards. Just the warmth of the desert sun, the hush of painted halls, and the slow ripple of the Nile. Tonight, you're not just a traveller. You're not even a tourist. You're Pharaoh. You are the living god of ancient Egypt. The world rises with you. And tonight, we'll spend a quiet, golden day in your sandals. So settle in, let your shoulders drop, maybe dim the lights. Close your eyes if you'd like, or just listen. Maybe turn on a fan for that nice background noise. Let's drift back to a time of pyramids and palm trees, of cool stone chambers and sunlit gardens, to the life of a pharaoh. The first sound you hear is silence, not empty silence, but full, gentle, waiting silence. The kind that settles in grand spaces where even the air knows to stay soft. You are Pharaoh of Egypt, the Horus in flesh, son of Ra, the chosen one who holds the divine thread that ties heaven and earth together. You don't just live in a palace, you live in the center of the known world. A palace isn't just stone and symmetry here. It's a universe unto itself, a labyrinth of halls, columned courtyards, perfumed gardens, and quiet chambers where decisions are made that ripple across an empire. Your residence is more than a home. It is a symbol, a place that reminds everyone, including you, that Egypt is not ruled by men but by gods walking the earth. And this morning, like every morning, begins in stillness. The sun has not yet risen, but already the palace is awake, in whispers, in footsteps, in the scent of oil warming in clay bowls. For you are about to rise, and with your rising comes the rhythm of the entire kingdom. You lie beneath linen sheets that have been spun impossibly fine. Not rough like the cloth worn by farmers or tradesmen, but soft, bleached white, almost glowing in the shadows. Linen was sacred in Egypt. It wasn't just fabric, it was purity, worn by priests and royalty alike. Yours has been woven by hands that may never meet your gaze. Around you, the air holds a faint trace of blue lotus, a flower that blooms in the morning and closes by night, just like the sun. In Egyptian belief, the blue lotus symbolized rebirth, and so it fills your chamber, gently preparing your senses for waking. You do not speak. You do not need to. The attendants have been waiting since before dawn. Their work begins hours before your eyes open. They move without sound, trained to anticipate every gesture. Their movements are not personal. They are ritual, a reflection of your sacred status. They begin with water, not cold, not hot, but exactly the right warmth, drawn from vessels carved in alabaster and copper. It's poured over your hands, your arms, your face. Not scrubbed, just poured, like a quiet blessing. Cleanliness in Egypt was deeply spiritual. The gods favoured those who were pure. Priests would bathe as many as 4 times a day, and you, as Pharaoh, are seen as even more holy than they. You are towel-dried with cloths that are warm from the sun. Then the oils come. They are massaged into your skin, sandalwood, myrrh, frankincense. These scents are not for luxury, but for identity. You must smell like power, like tradition, like the gods themselves. Your hair is combed and braided with care, then oiled again. Some pharaohs shaved their heads and wore ornate wigs. Others, like you, let the real hair grow long, a symbol of health, of youth, of strength. Then they dress you. Linen again, this time more structured, folded with precision. Egyptians loved symmetry, order, balance, not just in architecture, but in everything. What you wear is not fashion. It is an extension of Maat, the principle of harmony and truth. Around your neck they fasten a broad collar, wide and heavy, made of dozens of small stones. Turquoise from Sinai, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, carnelian from the deserts of Nubia, all traded through vast networks that serve only you. To wear these is to display Egypt's power and the gods' favour. Finally, they place the Neem's headdress upon your brow. The striped cloth flows down your shoulders, framed by the golden cobra, the uraeus. It stares ahead with you, mouth open, fangs ready, always prepared to strike in your defense. Now, the room is ready. You do not leave alone. Your procession is quiet, guards, attendants, priests, but no one walks beside you. No one speaks to you. Because Pharaoh does not converse. Pharaoh is heard only when necessary. You walk slowly through painted halls. The walls speak of your ancestors, gods among men, battling chaos, taming beasts, building temples so large they seem impossible. And now your story is being painted too. As you step toward the inner sanctum of the palace, toward morning rituals and sacred offerings, you carry more than a title. You carry Egypt itself, because in this land, the crops grow when you are just, the floods come when you are balanced, and the gods smile when your heart remains steady. This is how every morning begins, and the world expects no less. Now the palace begins to stir around you, not in chaos, never chaos, but in careful, orchestrated motion. Every footstep echoes with purpose. Every hand gesture is part of a silent language built over centuries. You move toward the offering hall, your sandals whispering over smooth limestone floors. The palace was designed to impress not just mortals, but the gods themselves. Every corridor wide enough for your procession, every column carved with stories of the divine and eternal. Some halls are built to align perfectly with the sun at specific times of year, so that even the light itself knows how to honor you. The scent changes as you approach the sanctified chambers. Frankincense and sweet kaifi, a resinous incense blended from over a dozen ingredients. Honey, wine, raisins, cinnamon, myrrh, juniper. It clings to the air like a hymn, rising toward the gods in smoky spirals. Here you begin your daily rites, because you are not only Pharaoh, you are also high priest of every temple. It is a duty and a performance that connects heaven and earth. The people believe you maintain Ma'at, the sacred balance of the world, so you must offer gratitude to the gods for their guidance, and remind them gently that their favour has not been misplaced. Priests prepare the space before you enter. The statues of the gods, carved from obsidian, granite or gold, are hidden behind veils, kept in darkness until you arrive. For Egyptians, gods did not merely symbolize nature, they were nature. Ra was not a metaphor for the sun. Ra was the sun. And today, like every day, you rise to greet him. The ceremony begins with washing the statue, not a symbolic gesture, but a full bathing. The priests speak prayers in soft voices. You do not touch the god directly. That would break the cosmic order. But you oversee every part. They dress the idol in linen, anoint it with oil, offer it bread, beer, and incense. These gifts are not needed by the gods, of course. They are needed by the people, to see that the gods are honoured, that the system still functions, that harmony remains. You understand this. You've understood it since you were a child. You were raised in seclusion, taught to read not just texts but omens, taught to debate with scribes and generals before you could hold a bow. You were shown how to perform these rituals so they appear effortless, even though they are anything but. Most of your subjects will never see this ceremony. They only see its effects, the rising floodwaters, the harvest, the peace. But you see the mechanics behind the mystery. As Pharaoh, your life is not only opulent, it is theatre, a theatre that keeps the world turning. Once the rituals are complete, you receive offerings, not from gods, but from the people. Tributes arrive from all corners of your empire. Grain from the Black Land, the fertile strip along the Nile. Linen from the weavers of Memphis. Jewellery from Nubian gold. Vases, ointments, rare woods, exotic animals. Sometimes monkeys, sometimes leopards. Gifts from vassal states, symbolic taxes, bribes for favour, tokens of loyalty. These aren't random treasures. They are a message that Egypt is vast, wealthy, and under your control. You do not show surprise. You never show surprise. Even if one day a gift arrives from a land beyond the horizon, your face will remain the same. Calm, composed, divine. This is the part of kingship no monument teaches you. The posture, the silence, the way you nod just slightly, and that one gesture sends tremors through a general's spine or lifts a merchant's heart for a generation. Because you do not rule through fear, you rule through awe. And there is awe in abundance here. Every wall glows with painted scenes of your victories, your offerings, your lineage. They are not drawn to boast, they are drawn so time itself remembers, so that 1,000 years from now, some child scratching the earth near a crumbled column will still know, you were Pharaoh. As the tributes are recorded by scribes, men trained in sacred script, hunched over scrolls of papyrus, you begin to prepare for the audience of the day. Petitions will come soon, nobles, governors, priests, all hoping to speak, to gain favour, to bend your ear for just a moment. They will not sit, they will not interrupt, they will approach on their knees, speak only when spoken to, and retreat as quickly as they came. Because your time is not like other time. You are not simply alive in this moment, you are eternal. And this morning is only just beginning. The sun is climbing now, casting angled light through the palace latticework. Long golden beams stretch across the floor as you return to your inner throne hall, the audience chamber, the place where the affairs of empire unfold in full, silent formality. You're seated again, but this seat is not the sacred one of morning ritual. This throne is secular, though no less majestic, a chair of gilded cedar carved with falcons, wings spread wide, each feather inked in lapis blue. A low hum fills the hall, the sound of sandals on polished stone, of papyrus rustling under the scribes' pens. Your viziers stand at your side, silver-bearded, robes crisp with ceremonial pleats. They speak only when summoned, and never before your eyes meet theirs. You are not simply Pharaoh. You are law embodied. Your silence is as heavy as stone, your words as final as the edge of a sickle. This is not a day of war or rebellion, but it is a day of diplomacy. Word has come from far beyond your borders. A caravan has arrived, bearing the seal of Hatti, that distant northern empire of stone fortresses and cold highlands. The emissaries have travelled weeks, maybe months, to reach you, and they have waited outside the gates since dawn, offering prayers not to their own gods, but to yours. They know whose land they walk upon. You give the signal. Let them enter. The chamber shifts. Guards tense. Musicians set down their lyres. And then, with the groan of heavy cedar doors, the emissaries step inside. Sun-darkened travellers draped in foreign silks, their brows damp from the heat of your city. They bow, deeply. The one who speaks carries a tablet, not of papyrus, but of clay, pressed with wedge-shaped symbols you do not read. But your scribes do. The language of the Hittites has become familiar in recent years. Not friendly, but familiar. Their offering is peace and trade. Amber from the north, silver from the mines, horses bred not for work, but for war. In return, they request grain, linen, a skilled scribe or two, even art, if it pleases you. They speak these requests gently, indirectly, because in this room, you're not an equal. You are Pharaoh. You consider their offer. You nod once. Your vizier steps forward and begins the ritual of negotiation, not in shouts or haggling, but in carefully chosen metaphors. The tongues of empires never touch directly. They glide past one another like birds on wind, each word wrapped in flattery and wrapped again in meaning. The foreign delegation leaves relieved. Their gifts are placed in your treasury, their message copied and stored. You may never meet them again, but they will speak of this day for years. The coolness of the marble underfoot, the scent of lotus in the air, the way you did not smile, but allowed the smallest curl at the corner of your lip, and that was enough. As the chamber clears, another figure enters, not foreign, but formidable. A general, bronze skin, lined face, arms roped with muscle and sun-scorched scars. He does not kneel like the others. He bows, yes, but only slightly. because he too carries the burden of protecting Egypt. And though he wears no crown, his word reaches thousands. He tells you of Nubia, how their borders remain quiet but wary. He tells you of rumours from the east, whispers of movement along the Red Sea. He shows you maps, unrolls scrolls, speaks of strategies and terrain, and asks what shall be done. But you do not answer quickly. Pharaoh is not hurried. Instead, you walk slowly to the open courtyard beyond the chamber. The general follows quietly, matching your pace. Together you gaze upon the Nile, wide and glistening, its waters steady and full. It is always the Nile that decides. If its waters run deep and true, there is peace. If they recede, if the fields dry, if the floods falter, then unrest follows like shadow to sun. You turn back to him and speak just a few words, measured, simple, final, and he nods. Because your voice is not just command, it is prophecy. You return to the shade, where young scribes fan the air near you with broad palm fronds. You sip a cold infusion of dates and honey, and allow your shoulders to relax for the first time today. You have judged, you have balanced, you have preserved Mahat, the sacred order of things. All by noon, you glance upward, and the sun is now high above, a burning white coin hung in the deep blue sky. Soon you will retreat to the coolness of the harem garden, where songs are sung and soft laughter drifts on the breeze. But first, you sit still, just for a moment, and in that stillness you feel it again. That odd, sweet silence that comes with rule. Not a silence of absence, but of weight, of time, of gods, of memory. You step through carved doors that open not to more stone or shadow, but to green. A sudden hush of wind brushes past your cheek. The air in the garden is different, lighter, fragrant, alive. Here, beyond the courts of judgment and politics, your private sanctuary awaits, a walled oasis carved into the palace grounds, cultivated not for crops or ceremony, but for pleasure. This is your harem garden, the heart of your midday, where time bends and burdens fall away like dust from sandal straps. The garden was designed not by architects, but by poets, those who understood that beauty was not just what you saw, but what you felt. The trees are perfectly placed for shade and shadow play. Date palms sway above sun-dappled pools. Acacia and tamarisk form gentle arcs above the walking paths, and in the centre, a still, rectangular pond reflecting the pale blue sky. Lotus blossoms float across the water like drifting thoughts. Their scent, sweet, smoky, ancient, waft upward with every shift of breeze. The lotus, of course, is sacred, a symbol of rebirth, of the sun's own journey, dipping below the earth at dusk and rising anew each morning. Egyptians saw the world through symbols, and as Pharaoh, you lived not just among them, you were one. Even here, in this peaceful corner of your empire, every detail tells a story. You recline beneath a linen canopy, stretched between gold-tipped poles. Cushions are stacked beside you, embroidered with symbols of Horus and Hathor, filled with goose down, their fabric imported from the Levant. A servant kneels beside you with a silver tray, figs, pomegranates, honey cakes, and cold wine, steeped with herbs to calm the body and slow the mind. Wine was once reserved only for ritual, for gods and offerings, but in your reign it is a luxury of the divine bloodline, a mark of your separation from the common man. Beer might feed the labourers, but wine? Wine is for Pharaoh. A harp begins to play. The sound is delicate like water touching glass. A young musician, trained in the palace for this very moment, plucks the strings with careful grace. Her melody is old, a song your ancestors heard, a lullaby of kings preserved not on papyrus, but in memory. Dancers move between the sycamores, not in frenzy, not in performance, but in slow, flowing gestures that mimic the reeds and the wind and the river. They are dressed in sheer linen, dyed faintly with crushed petals. Gold bracelets glimmer on their wrists, catching slivers of sun. They do not look at you. They move for you. Everything does. Your gaze lifts lazily to the edge of the garden, where a servant is walking a gazelle, not for utility, but for beauty. The animal is docile, tamed since birth, adorned with a collar of shells and turquoise beads. Even nature bends gently within your walls. And here, in this still moment, you remember. This is not luxury for its own sake. This is balance. This is Ma'at, harmony with the divine. You are not indulging. You are fulfilling a sacred order. For if the gods gave you the weight of empire, they also gave you this. A garden. A place to exhale, to remember, to remain human, even in your godhood. You take another sip. The wine lingers on your tongue. Sweet, spiced. A priest steps softly into view, hands clasped, eyes downcast. He bears no news of war, no scrolls of tribute, only a reminder. The midday ritual draws near, and with it, your journey into the sacred temple. You rise slowly. The canopy is lowered. The servants clear the tray. Dancers part in silence as you pass, heads bowed, arms crossed. You leave the garden as you entered, without a word, because in this realm of shade and song and sunlit stillness, words are too heavy. Only presence matters, and yours has been enough. The corridors are quieter now. The air cools as shadows lengthen. Somewhere deep in the palace, torches flicker to life in their iron sconces. The low hum of footsteps, distant and measured, echoes off the stone, your household adjusting to the rhythm of evening. But not you. You are led along a private path, a winding columned walkway painted with stars and sacred animals, its floor inlaid with polished alabaster cool beneath your sandals. A few faithful guards shadow your steps from a respectful distance. They know not to intrude. The night belongs to you and to her. Your queen is waiting. She has not been chosen for politics, nor for dynasty, though both now rest upon her shoulders. She is your beloved. She knew you before the crown, before the gods whispered your name into eternity. The moonlit garden you share was her idea. Not carved for public ceremony like the inner courts, but planted for the two of you, hidden behind stone walls and flowering trellises. Tonight, a table awaits beneath a date palm heavy with fruit. The fronds above you rustle gently in the breeze like the hush of silken robes. Lanterns glow along the path, each one shaped like a lotus in bloom, their flames flickering behind thin alabaster shells. The scent of hibiscus and roasted garlic mingles in the air, simple, fragrant, warm. This is no feast for the court, no ceremony, just a dinner for two souls. A servant bows and lifts a cover from a low tray, warm bread, honeyed duck, pickled figs, and a golden bowl of lentils spiced with coriander and cumin. Food not for a god, but for a man who rules as one. You sit beside her, not above her, no throne here, just two cushions and the shared hush of dusk. She touches your arm. No one else does that. And for a moment, in this quiet sliver of the empire, you are not the Eye of Ra or the son of Osiris. You are simply yourself, watching her laugh softly at something the cat does. Yes, the cat. The one she insisted you name after the moon goddess. Even now, the creature curls at your feet, tail flicking with idle disdain. The queen's hair is braided with blue faience beads, catching the soft torchlight. Her linen dress is embroidered with the same lotus motifs carved into the walls. She reaches for a pomegranate and splits it between you with fingers that smell faintly of myrrh. You speak, not of war, not of tributes, not of temples. You speak of the Nile's rising, of the astrologer's predictions, of your daughter's strange dream. You listen to the world through her eyes, and it feels grounding, because even a pharaoh needs a tether. She reminds you of the mornings before the throne, before the rituals and the sandstorms of duty. She asks you questions no one else would dare, and you answer, not with riddles or decrees, but honesty. Overhead the stars begin to emerge, shimmering above the courtyard walls. They are not scattered at random. No, your priests have charted them, named them, read them like scriptures, but here and now they feel like old friends returning. The queen leans her head against your shoulder. You close your eyes, and for the first time all day, you exhale, not as Pharaoh, not as God, but as a man, wrapped in the scent of hibiscus and stone, held not by the weight of empire, but by love. And the silence between you is not emptiness. It is peace. It is Ma'at. The stars above Thebes glisten like jewels scattered across black silk. The garden's warmth lingers in your skin as you rise from your place beside the queen. She smiles at you, a knowing smile, the kind shared between those who carry empires on their shoulders but speak in quiet glances and hands that linger just a moment longer than required. You part with no ceremony, no need for words. You know she'll walk beneath the myrrh trees before retiring to her own wing of the palace. That is her ritual, as yours now begins. The palace halls have changed their rhythm. No longer bustling with decree or offering, the air is slower, breath-like. The sandstone walls, still warm from the day's sun, hum with silence. A torch sputters gently as you pass. No servants speak. They know your path is sacred now. You are escorted by 2 torchbearers, their steps as quiet as falling ash. You move through a corridor flanked by statues of Horus and Hathor, the eyes of stone gods following you not with judgment, but eternal patience. You arrive at your chamber. No bed of straw or woolen mat awaits. No, this is the resting place of a living deity. The bed is carved from imported cedar, its posts gilded in electrum. The mattress is stuffed with layers of fine linen and goose down, so soft it yields beneath you like sand kissed by the Nile. The sheets are bleached white, cool and dry with a scent of lotus petals and desert air. Beside the bed, a bowl of oils waits. You dip your hands in them as tradition dictates. Myrrh and blue lotus. The smell is intoxicating, dreamy, slightly bitter, sacred. A priest has already visited earlier to bless the chamber with sacred words and incense. A copper censer still smoulders near the entrance, trailing a thin ribbon of frankincense into the air. The smoke dances, twisting into shapes of ibises, suns and ankhs before fading into shadow. You recline. Above you, the ceiling is painted deep blue, a sky within stone. Gold stars are scattered across it, arranged just like the heavens outside. Except these never move, never fade. This is your own constellation, always above you, even when clouds cover the night. A scribe sits quietly in the corner, scroll in hand, just in case your mind wanders into thoughts worth recording. He will not speak, only write. Tomorrow his ink may capture the seed of lore or legend, but not tonight. Tonight you are allowed to be still. You think of your ancestors, the ones buried in silence behind stone doors sealed with spells. You think of the tomb being prepared for you even now, far from here, where artists carve your story in vibrant reds and blues, where your likeness is drawn with a crook and flail, eyes forever staring into eternity. You do not fear that place. For a pharaoh, death is not an end. It is a transformation, a gateway, a merging with the divine. Still, the weight of your life, heavy with symbols and gold, tugs gently at your chest. You think of the child you saw at the courtyard fountain this morning, giggling at the priest's awkward sandals. You think of your queen's breath against your shoulder, of the scent of lentils and smoke, of the way the high priest's voice trembled slightly when he recited the prophecy earlier this week. You think of the Nile, its slow, eternal roll, how it has never failed your people, how it raised your ancestors and will carry your memory long after your tomb is sealed. And then finally you think of nothing. Your eyes grow heavy. The torchlight dims. Outside your chamber, the guards kneel in silence. Inside, the walls hold your breath, your dreams, your stillness. You close your eyes, and the world, great and golden and ancient, sleeps with you. You lie in stillness now, and thoughts drift like linen in the breeze. You begin to remember the truths that make you who you are. You are Pharaoh. Your title means great house, not just a man, but an institution, the embodiment of all Egypt. You are lawmaker, high priest, general, and god. Each morning, your name is spoken in temples before statues that wear your likeness. Even the Nile, when it floods with life-giving waters, is seen as a gift sent in your name. Crops grow beneath your gaze. Gold flows because your heart remains steady. You wear the double crown, the red of Lower Egypt, the white of Upper Egypt, united on your brow as a symbol of balance, harmony, divine rule. Every time your feet touch the earth, priests whisper blessings. Even your breath is sacred. You sign decrees with a seal that carries more weight than any sword. When a farmer plants seeds, he does so with thanks to the grain you've stored, the water you've commanded, the peace you've protected. Your body is not just your own. Your fingers wear rings engraved with the names of gods. Your chest bears pectorals of turquoise and lapis, stones believed to channel protection and immortality. When you walk, the hem of your robe sweeps symbols of eternity into the dust. Your enemies do not curse you by name. They fear to speak it. Your tomb is already half complete, filled with golden sandals, alabaster jars of perfumes, statues of servants, boats for your journey through the afterlife. The tomb will tell your story in glowing ochre and lapis blue, even your smile painted with divine calm. When you die, the people will not say you are gone. They will say, "He has joined the stars." And perhaps, one night far from now, a child will look up at the sky, see a bright point above the river and say, "There, that one, that is the Pharaoh who made the Nile sing." You breathe deeply. You are still, and the gods, somewhere beyond the veil of dreams, nod quietly in your honor. The palace is quiet now, and yet your mind lingers just a little longer beyond its walls. You wonder, not as a ruler, not as a god, but as something softer, someone who was once a boy in the court, taught to wear the crown before understanding the weight it carried. You wonder what they say about you. Out there, in the clay houses, the temple courtyards, the barley fields kissed by the Nile, some call you divine. In the markets, when sunlight slips through baskets of dates and honey, old women speak your name with reverence, the way they once spoke of Ra at dawn. They say the Pharaoh has eyes that see the truth, they say. That's why the rains came early this year. In the villages, when a child is born, fathers look up at the falcons circling overhead and say, "It's a sign. Horus flies with our king." And mothers sing lullabies that mention your name, the way they might sing of stars or the moon. In the temple cities, scribes debate the shape of your cartouche, how best to preserve your name in eternity. One carves it into a limestone stela at sunset and whispers, "He will be remembered when our bones are dust." Along the canals where workers push boats with long poles, they wonder aloud what foods you eat, whether your robes smell like the white lotus, whether the Pharaoh laughs like other men. They never doubt your power, but they imagine your heart. They tell stories that you once healed a sick ox by touching its forehead, that your voice alone stopped a sandstorm, that you were born with eyes open, already searching for the horizon. In truth, they do not know you. Not as you are now, adorned in gold, haloed by incense, your words carried by envoys and echoed in temples, but they love the idea of you. You are myth and man, a bridge between their breath and the stars, a symbol of order in a world where the river floods and recedes without warning. They do not need to know your face. They carry your spirit in their daily rituals, in bread, in prayer, in the way they teach their children to hold their heads high when they speak your name. And in the quiet of night, when fishermen lie on their backs and count stars above the Nile, they wonder if you are awake too, under the same sky. And sometimes you are, and sometimes you smile. Night falls over Egypt like a velvet curtain drawn by the gods themselves. In your palace, a grand structure of limestone and cedar wood, perfumed halls and lotus-shaped columns, everything is quiet. You, the Pharaoh, are preparing to rest, but Egypt does not sleep all at once, and the way it sleeps depends on who you are. As Pharaoh, your world is unlike any other. Your bed is a sacred space, carved from the finest wood and draped with imported linen so soft it almost floats. Cushions are filled with goose feathers. Perfumed oils have been massaged into your skin by expert hands. Before you lie down, temple priests mutter protective blessings near your headrest, asking the gods to cradle your dreams. The scent of frankincense still lingers in the room, a scent reserved only for royalty and the divine. Outside your door, guards stand silently with bronze-tipped spears, keeping watch as the rest of the palace begins its nightly rhythm. But outside your walls, Egypt is very different. Back then, over 90% of Egyptians were not royalty, not priests, not scribes. They were farmers, labourers, craftsmen. Their homes were made of mud brick, baked hard under the desert sun. Their floors were sand. At night, the wind blew dust in through open doorways. Most homes had only 1 or 2 rooms. Families slept close together on reed mats or woven straw, sometimes with livestock just feet away. There were no guards outside their doors, no priests chanting blessings, only the occasional bark of a dog, the rustle of date palms, or the cry of a baby in the distance. Their days were long, and their nights were short. While you recline on a cushion and sip sweetened wine, they soak their aching feet in cool water. Their backs hurt from working in the fields all day, bending over canals, harvesting grain, hauling baskets of mud to maintain irrigation dikes. In the night, they eat quietly, sometimes just lentils and onions or flatbread baked over a clay fire. Meat was rare, honey was a luxury. Wine only for special occasions. Their skin is sun-darkened, their hands are thick with calluses. Their dreams are shaped not by prophecy, but by the rhythm of the Nile, when it floods, when it recedes, when it gives life or takes it away. And yet they worship you. They carve your image into clay lamps. They speak your name before harvest. They teach their children that you are the son of Ra, that your heartbeat is tied to the health of the world. They believe that while you sleep, the gods whisper to you. But inside the palace, even in the depths of night, there is motion. Scribes continue their work, drafting letters and cataloguing tribute. Stewards inventory the stores, counting baskets of grain, jars of beer, bolts of linen. Servants polish gold in the flickering light of oil lamps. The temple near the palace continues its rituals, offering incense to ensure the gods remain pleased with your reign. Even your physicians are nearby. If your breathing changes, if you murmur in your sleep, someone will be alerted. Your health is not your own, it is the health of the state. No one tends to the poor in this way. There is no midwife for the woman giving birth on a dirt floor. There is no guard for the boy who wakes from a nightmare, scared of the jackals howling near the village edge. Still, life continues. And in their own way, the poor of Egypt find peace in the night. They rest beneath the same stars as you, stars mapped out by your court astronomers, stars carved into the ceiling above your bed. And while their pillows are rolled up cloaks or sacks of straw, they still believe in something larger than themselves. They believe in the order of the world, the Ma'at, and that order begins with you. Their sleep may be hard, their rooms may be humble, but their belief in your role gives them structure. They survive, in part, because they believe someone must live a life so different that it must serve a purpose. So you sleep, surrounded by silk and silence, and they sleep, surrounded by dust and dreams. And all of Egypt breathes in rhythm. Even now, while the day still hums with sun and incense, your thoughts drift toward the future, toward the centuries beyond your final breath. Because as Pharaoh, your body will one day return to the earth, but your name, your image, your legacy, that must last forever. You are not simply building for today, you are building for eternity. From the moment your coronation was complete, a team of architects, stonecutters, priests and mathematicians were summoned to begin what would become your afterlife's temple, your tomb, your monument, your pyramid. The scale of it is unfathomable to anyone but you. These are not houses, they are mountains made by hand. You choose the location carefully, often near Memphis or Thebes or west of the Nile, where the sun sets and the dead rest. There, the earth is carved open and mapped with ritual. Not a single brick is placed without divine consideration, and the labour begins. Tens of thousands of men are conscripted across Egypt, not slaves, but seasonal labourers, farmers working in the off-season when the Nile floods their fields. They are fed, housed and rotated in shifts. Quarrymen cut limestone from distant cliffs. Engineers oversee ramps, sleds, pulleys. Supervisors chant orders in the hot wind. All of it for you. For one man, one name, one God in flesh, the pyramid is only one part. You also command obelisks to be raised, towers of stone cut from Aswan, pulled across sand and hoisted to the sky, each one a needle aimed at the sun god Ra. They are covered in hieroglyphs telling your story, your lineage, your victories, your offerings to the gods. One monument can take decades to complete, but you have time and power and belief. Even your temples, grand sanctuaries built for the gods, bear your mark. You add wings to Karnak. You fund statues taller than 10 men. You etch your name beside the gods themselves, ensuring that in 1,000 years no visitor will forget who made it so. And most of all, there is the tomb, a hidden place, built beneath sand and stone, painted with stars, packed with treasure, perfumed oils, sacred amulets, and scrolls of protective spells. Your sarcophagus, carved from granite or gold, waits for you inside, and all of this is to ensure you rise again. Because in your world, death is not the end. It is only the beginning of the next kingdom, the one you must walk through in spirit. But still, even in life you visit the sites. You speak to the architects. You watch the blocks rise higher. The carvings take shape, the names inscribed beside yours. You are both king and customer, patron and deity. The monuments aren't just about beauty. They are about control. They show the people you are strong, that you are forever, that your name will outlast the hills. And so, you build, and build, and build, because long after your bones are dust, your face will still look down from every wall, every pillar, every path through the desert, not as a man, but as a god made of stone. They call you the son of Ra, the earthly god, the living Horus. But what is a god without worshippers? What is a pharaoh without his people? As your eyes gaze from the high palace balcony, beyond the date palms and lotus ponds, far past the white stone courtyards and guards in leopard skin sashes, lies Egypt, the true Egypt. A kingdom not built of thrones or temples, but of hands, and backs, and breath. Each grain of sand that gathers in your sandals, each papyrus scroll in your court, each bite of fruit at your golden table, was touched, shaped, carried by someone far below your station. And in your most silent hours, perhaps you wonder what their lives are like. The peasant, the quiet soul in a linen kilt, rises before Ra does. His home is of sun-baked mud brick. The floor is packed earth. The walls are patched with woven reeds. Inside it is dark, but the scent of barley and sour beer hangs in the air. He eats simply. Bread, maybe a fig. Sometimes just onions. Then he works, all day, ploughing in the heat, hauling irrigation from the Nile, tending to cattle and fields with no shade, no break, no crown. His skin is tough, his hands are calloused, his back aches, but he smiles when his harvest pleases the gods, and when your tax collectors aren't too cruel. His wife may work the markets, or grind grain. Their children run barefoot through dust. At night, they tell stories of you, the divine ruler they will never meet, who lives among columns taller than date trees. And then there are the artisans. They live better within the walls of royal workshops and workers' villages. Skilled men, stonecutters, painters, scribes and masons, whose tools are touched by precision and ritual. Some of them are even building your tomb. Their days are long, but they are fed well, and they live with pride. For what they make will outlast their bones. Your name will live on because of their hands. They chisel hieroglyphs so fine they seem painted by gods. They paint your eyes on limestone statues with deep reverence. They apply lapis to the collar of your golden bust, with the same care a mother gives a newborn child. They know they will never rule. but they also know the gods see their labor. Then there are the priests and the scribes. They walk between worlds, literate, respected, bathed in sacred oils and ceremony. They are not royalty, but they are closer to you than most. A scribe may never own land, but he holds knowledge. He records births, writes spells, calculates grain stores, and measures the stars. His pen is his scepter. His ink is his prayer. And somewhere in a dim-lit hut, a young boy trains to follow in his steps, dreaming not of palaces, but of scrolls and wax tablets. Because in Egypt, words are magic, and still there are others, fishermen on the Nile, sailors rowing between cities, perfume makers, dancers, beer brewers, bricklayers, basket weavers. Each life is different, each one a thread in the great linen of your kingdom. They rarely see you, but they build your monuments. They chant your name during the festivals. They press their foreheads to the earth when your chariot rolls past. And though their homes are small and their lives are short, they believe in you. You are not just their king. You are their meaning, their bridge to the heavens. And in this ancient balance and the peasants toiling in fields, the scribes etching stars, the artisans carving your eternal smile, the greatness of Egypt is born, even in the silence of your grandeur, even as incense curls softly toward the painted ceiling, even as servants whisper and sandals hush against polished stone. You think of death, not with fear, not with dread, but with wonder. Because here, in the land of Kemet, death is not an end. It is a passage, a sacred transformation, an unfolding of eternity. You are Pharaoh, the living god, and you've spent your reign not only building monuments for the living, but preparing for what comes after. And oh, how much comes after. In Egypt, death is a ritual older than the pyramids, older than memory. It is written in stars, echoed in hymns, and carved into tomb walls with a precision that rivals life itself. From your earliest days, priests have whispered to you of Duat, the realm of the dead, a place not dark but mystical, layered with lakes of fire, serpent gods, judgment halls and celestial boats. You were taught of Osiris, lord of the underworld, seated on his throne of reeds, of Anubis with the jackal's head, who weighs the heart of each soul against the feather of Maat, and of the field of reeds, a paradise, lush and green, where the just dwell forever, ploughing eternal fields beneath golden sun. But to reach that sacred place, it takes preparation. As Pharaoh, your journey must be perfect, immaculate, divine. You have spent decades preparing your tomb, a structure deeper than any temple, lined with sacred spells, precious oils, and murals that speak to the soul. Your sarcophagus, carved from granite or alabaster, is no simple coffin. It is a throne for eternity, its sides etched with spells from the Book of the Dead, the magical papyrus guidebook every noble heart requires. Your mummification will take 70 days, a process overseen by high priests and embalmers sworn to secrecy. Your brain will be removed through the nose. Your organs will be placed in canopic jars, one for the liver, one for the lungs, one for the stomach, one for the intestines, each guarded by a protective deity. Your body will be packed with natron salt, dried, then wrapped in linen, layer upon layer, each fold kissed with resin and sacred amulets, scarabs, ankhs, eyes of Horus. And your heart, it must remain, for it will be weighed. In the Hall of Two Truths, your soul will stand before Osiris. Anubis will place your heart upon the golden scale. On the other side, the feather of Ma'at, the symbol of truth and balance. If your heart is light, you pass. If heavy with sin, it is devoured by Ammit, the soul eater, a beast part lion, part crocodile, part hippopotamus. But you are Pharaoh, son of Ra. Your heart is just. The priests have said it. The people have believed it. You will board the solar bark, the divine boat that sails through the night sky. Ra will greet you, and together you'll battle the serpent Apophis, ushering the sun safely into the next day. You will rise. You will reign again among the stars. But even before your soul takes flight, Your tomb must speak of your glory. Deep beneath sand and stone, it glows with colour. Blue lapis skies, golden suns, green painted gardens of the afterlife. You are shown giving offerings, receiving eternal life, embraced by gods, and around you, treasure, chariots, statues, games, jewellery, furniture, not for vanity, but for use. For in the next world, you live again, and you must not want. And outside your tomb, in the world of the living, mourners will wail, priests will chant, perfumes will burn sweet and thick. There will be processions with lotus flowers, offerings of bread and beer, sacrifices made in your name, and even centuries from now, long after your body is dust, travellers may find your resting place and wonder who you were. But your name will be written, your image will endure, and in Egypt, to be remembered, is to live forever. Even as the sun climbs gently across the courtyard stones, even as servants glide through columns bearing trays of oils and unguents, you are still being adorned, because in Egypt beauty is not luxury, it is holiness, and you, Pharaoh, are not just ruler, you are God-made flesh. Your skin, your scent, your presence must echo divinity. It begins at dawn. Long before the court assembles, before ambassadors bow, before priests burn incense in your name, you are attended to with the care of a living deity. Water, drawn from sacred wells and warmed by sunlight, is poured across your skin, not hastily. Never that. It flows slow, gentle, over shoulders and spine, scented with lotus blossoms or blue chamomile, the fragrances of rebirth. Next, the scrubbing. With natron salts harvested from the deserts, their grains fine and purifying, a spiritual cleansing as much as a physical one. Your skin is anointed with moringa oil, rich and golden, prized for keeping the body supple beneath the fierce Egyptian sun. Your eyes are lined with kohl, drawn thick and dark, not merely for beauty, but protection, for kohl shields against glare and wards off illness, a sacred blend of lead, soot, and crushed galena. Your eyebrows are sculpted, your nails tinted red with henna, your feet buffed smooth and wrapped in fine linen. And the perfumes, oh, the perfumes. Kifi, a royal blend of honey, wine, cinnamon, and myrrh, is dabbed at your neck and wrists. Your very breath smells of herbs, as if you've stepped out of myth. Your clothing, too, is ceremonial. You do not simply dress, you are dressed. Fine linen, bleached white and sheer, is pleated and wrapped around your form, cool to the touch, almost weightless. Each fold speaks of rank, each tuck is ritual. Over your chest, a broad collar of beads and gold, the colours of rebirth and kingship, strung in patterns to honour gods and ancestors. At your brow, the Neme's headdress, striped and gleaming, framing your face like Ra's own sunbeams. And when you speak, it is through lips softened with beeswax and crushed rose. But beauty is more than ornament. It is health. In your private chamber, healers await. They offer dates soaked in honey to keep your voice smooth, figs for digestion, beer and barley water infused with herbs for balance. Your physicians, the best in the kingdom, are trained not only in medicine but in magic. They read your pulse, whisper spells over your food, consult scrolls of cures passed down since the time of Imhotep. Should you tire, attendants bring cooling compresses of lotus and mint. If your joints ache, massages with castor oil soothe muscle and bone. And always there are charms, amulets shaped like eyes, ankhs, beetles hidden beneath cloth, brushing your heart as protection. To be Pharaoh is to be preserved, not just in tomb or statue, but in every living hour. Your beauty must mirror that of Horus. Your health must reflect the god's own favour. And so, you sit, radiant and still, as the morning continues. The oils are rubbed in, the linen smoothed, the jewels are fixed, and by the time the first petitioners kneel before you, you are no longer man. You are legend. Even with your body adorned in gold and linen, your day cannot begin without first attending to the gods. For you are not just Pharaoh. You are the bridge between heaven and earth, the beating heart of Ma'at, order, truth, and harmony. And so, beneath the rising light of the Egyptian sun, you step into the sacred silence of your temple. It is not a single building, it is a complex, a city within walls, grand stone pylons, wide courtyards, colonnades of lotus-shaped pillars, all carved with your name. The gods are housed here, and you, their living emissary, must greet them. Every wall is alive with story. Your conquests, your offerings, your divine right to rule, all etched in hieroglyphs and painted with mineral pigments that still shimmer in the early light. As you pass through, sistrums jingle softly. The priests are already awake, barefoot and shaved, purified in sacred pools, whispering hymns in the ancient tongue. The air is thick with frankincense and myrrh, drifting like dreams toward the painted ceilings. You approach the sanctuary, the inner chamber, the place where the god's statue waits, hidden behind veils, carved from ebony or gilded wood, dressed in cloth, fed and bathed daily, not because the god needs it, but because you need to serve. You bow, not low, but deep enough. You are Horus on earth, but even Horus must kneel before the gods. The morning ritual begins. Priests chant, pouring water from alabaster jars. They offer bread, beer, fruit, and sometimes meat, all laid before the god's shrine. Food not for eating, but for blessing. The god is awakened, clothed, and perfumed just as you were. This ceremony has continued without pause for thousands of years, unchanged, eternal. You take the censer, gold shaped like a falcon, and wave it gently, surrounding the sanctuary in perfumed smoke. To outsiders it may seem symbolic, but to you it is sacred duty, because if the rituals are not done, if the offerings are not given, then Ma'at could fall into chaos. The Nile may not flood, the stars may lose their place, and your kingdom, your people, may suffer. You are not only king, you are priest, a holy figure who maintains cosmic balance, whose dreams might carry messages from the gods, whose words may shape the winds, whose failures could invite famine. Outside the temple, the people see your likeness carved in every stone. You, arm raised, smiting enemies. You, making offerings to Amun-Ra, Osiris, Hathor. Your image is everywhere because your power must be visible. But here, within these walls, in the cool shadows of the sanctuary, you are simply the one who serves. The gods are quiet, they do not speak, but their presence is heavy, felt in the hush between chants, in the heat of the sacred flame, in the eyes of the priests who dare not meet yours. Once the offerings are complete, the door to the shrine is closed, sealed again with cord and wax. The god must rest. You step out into the daylight once more, carrying the weight of heaven, the burden of divinity. It is only mid-morning, but already you have fed gods, preserved balance, and renewed the sacred bond that keeps Egypt whole, all without speaking a single word. You do not walk among your people often, but when you do, it is as if the gods themselves descend from the heavens. And so, on this day, under the clear brilliance of the Egyptian sun, you emerge. Not as a man, but as a vision, crowned, robed, radiant, lifted on a ceremonial bark of gold, borne on the shoulders of 20 priests who chant praises with every careful step. The streets are overflowing. People press in from every village, clutching lotus blossoms and papyrus fans, their children perched on shoulders to catch a glimpse of you. It is the Opet festival, a celebration older than most cities on earth, a time when the god Amun is brought from Karnak to Luxor, where his hidden presence unites with the essence of kingship. But it is also a celebration of you, your power, your divine right to rule. Musicians line the route, drummers, flute players, and dancers with painted eyes and rattling sistrums. They move in slow, hypnotic rhythm. Their movements aren't for entertainment alone. They are sacred gestures, prayers written in motion. Along the causeways, temples are draped in linen and palm fronds. Priests walk barefoot, scattering myrrh across the stones. Food stalls buzz, dates, beer, flatbreads, fish grilled with garlic. and laughter echoes as the scent of roasting meats blends with incense in the air. You see joy. Your people are fed today. They are safe today, because you are Pharaoh. And while they may not know the intricacies of law or irrigation or celestial prophecy, they know you are the reason the Nile floods, the fields grow, and the sun returns. At the climax of the festival, offerings are made in your honor, oxen, geese, jugs of honey and wine. The people shout your names, carved in cartouches, repeated as a prayer. Long live the son of Ra. May Pharaoh live forever. And for a moment, beneath the great painted sky, you feel it. Not power, not pride, but a kind of tenderness. Because they love you, not for your armies or monuments, but for the sense of order you bring to a chaotic world. But even now, as the music fades, there is a quiet truth that follows you. This life will end. And so, preparations for death begin not in your final years, but in your earliest days of rule. For a pharaoh's tomb is no mere grave. It is a gateway to eternity. Beneath the sands, far from the eyes of thieves, your tomb is being carved into the limestone hills of the Valley of the Kings. Day after day, year after year, hundreds of labourers, artists and priests work in silence. By torchlight, they chisel passageways deeper into the earth. Each corridor a chapter, each chamber a secret. The walls are painted with stars and spells, images of you crossing into the afterlife, sailing the night skies aboard the solar bark of Ra, battling serpents of darkness, and rising again as an eternal being. They are not just decorations, they are instructions, spells from the Book of the Dead, inscribed to guide your spirit through the underworld, past lakes of fire and gates guarded by lions. Your sarcophagus, carved from red quartzite or alabaster, will rest at the heart of it all, surrounded by golden statues, chests of linen, jars of perfume, and amulets shaped like scarabs and ankhs. Your favourite sandals are laid beside you, your bow, a lock of a loved one's hair. Even now, artisans mould your death mask, a portrait in gold and lapis lazuli, to capture your image not as you are but as you were meant to be. Timeless, radiant, divine. The world above will forget many things. Rulers will fall, nations will crumble, but you will remain. For your tomb is more than stone. It is a promise that you were Pharaoh not only in life, but in death. And long after your body turns to dust, your name will echo down painted halls, whispered by the living, honoured by the dead.